Imagine this, it's late April 2025, and your phone buzzes with an alert. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the living embodiment of cinematic toughness, has just taken to Instagram Live to publicly resign from Netflix's hit series FUBAR. His steel blue eyes burn with indignation as he accuses the streaming giant of turning his character into a feeble shadow of its former self. "They hired me as a legend," he snarls, voice trembling with controlled fury, "and they turned me into a goddamn meme." By the time you've scrolled through the first wave of reactions, outraged comments, memes mocking woke agendas, posts lauding his bravery, you know one thing for certain: this is the showdown everyone's been waiting for. The deal started innocuously enough. In January 2024, Netflix executives flew Schwarzenegger to its Los Angeles headquarters, promising him not just a starring role in FUBAR's second season, but also a seat at the creative table. They dangled the carrot of co-writing credits, input on fight choreography, and the chance to shape Max Walker's arc from a hardened CIA operative to a reluctant mentor spearheading a global anti-terror mission. For Arnold, who had spent the previous decade poking fun at his own legend in cameos and parodies, this felt like a chance to reclaim serious action credibility while exploring the nuanced territory of a man past his prime. By spring, scripts began circulating. Arnold's initial excitement morphed into suspicion. The early drafts portrayed Max Walker not as a decisive, bulletproof hero, but as a soul-searching relic haunted by moral quandaries. Scenes focused on ethical considerations of collateral damage and the psychological toll of drone warfare, complete with extended monologues delivered in dimly lit safe houses. One draft had Walker pausing mid-assault to debate the merits of international law, another forced him to apologize profusely to a hostage before snatching a gun and finishing the job. Arnold's production notes grew increasingly curt: Max would never hesitate, no TED Talks in the middle of a firefight, simplify, action over introspection. Despite his pushback, Netflix's creative team persisted. They argued global audiences demanded more thoughtful heroes. A key memo insisted the show needed to reflect contemporary concerns, elevate social responsibility, and avoid glorifying violence for violence's sake. To the writers, it was a matter of narrative evolution. To Arnold, it was a betrayal of action movie DNA. "Max Walker isn't a university dean," he told a trusted friend. "He's a soldier." Filming commenced in Vancouver in January 2025. On day one, Arnold arrived on set, fitted in signature black leather, weighed down by script pages he clearly hadn't memorized. Crew members whispered that he'd refused to shoot a scene in which Walker paused to deliver a 5-minute speech about the ethics of drone strikes. Instead of firing a hail of bullets, Walker's character had been scripted to spare an enemy combatant, only to see that operative return and kill one of his protégés. "Too sentimental," Arnold had declared, slamming the script on the table. Over the next few weeks, tensions mounted. Producers say Arnold complained his camera setups weren't dramatic enough and demanded extra rehearsal time for fight sequences, time the compressed shooting schedule couldn't afford. In response, Netflix tightened its grip, cutting down rehearsals and insisting on quicker shooting days. By March, a leaked internal email from the showrunner described Arnold as erratic, unwilling to collaborate, and constantly pushing for action beats that undercut the narrative's thematic depth. The true breaking point came on April 14, during a 2-day shoot for the season finale's climactic rooftop sequence. The script called for Max Walker to deliver a motivational plea to his team before rappelling down the side of a skyscraper during an urban siege. But in the revised draft, that plea had been rewritten to include lines about trust, forgiveness, and the importance of non-violent solutions. Arnold balked. He insisted on restoring the original brusque directives: move fast, hit hard, no regrets. A heated argument ensued between him and the head writer, witnessed by several crew members. By noon, production was in chaos, extras milling around in tactical gear, stunt coordinators pacing nervously, and cameras idled on silent tripods. That evening, Arnold posted a terse statement on his Instagram stories: "Unacceptable changes made without my consent. We will not compromise on integrity." No one knew what it meant exactly, but the next morning, Netflix dropped the bombshell: Schwarzenegger had officially quit FUBAR. Their press release accused him of unprofessional conduct, repeated refusals to perform scheduled scenes, and even disruptive on-set behavior. They claimed certain scenes had been shot using AI-generated dialogue to replace his absent lines, a rumor that shook Hollywood to its core. In the hours that followed, the media circus went into overdrive. Reporters scrambled to verify the AI voice claim, tech blogs dissected its feasibility. Trade publications printed anonymous insider quotes, that Arnold demanded multiple script rewrites daily, that he insisted on carrying his own camera to vet framing, and that he once screamed at a grip for misplacing his sunglasses between takes. On the other hand, Arnold's spokespeople painted Netflix as corporate bullies, cowering before Twitter mobs, and destroying cinematic heritage in the name of political correctness. Fan reactions split along predictable lines. On Twitter, #Team Schwarzenegger trended within hours. Memes surfaced of a Terminator robot flipping off the Netflix logo, while tabloid headlines declared Arnold vs. Woke, the final battle. Action movie purists penned open letters praising his stand, lamenting the death of old-school bravado. Meanwhile, #Team Netflix rallied, lauding the platform's commitment to progressive storytelling and lambasting Schwarzenegger as a relic fighting the future. Reddit threads descended into chaos, with users debating who was to blame. "He's too old school," one poster wrote. "Netflix is strangling creativity," countered another. Wall Street took notice. Netflix shares dipped nearly 2% in the days following the announcement, small by general market standards, but enough to suggest even streaming behemoths are vulnerable without star power. Competitors seized the moment. Paramount Plus tweeted a cryptic line about happier endings, Amazon Prime ran a 2-day free trial blitz, and Warner Bros. Discovery teased upcoming action slate announcements. Everyone wanted a piece of the story. Amid the chaos, Arnold retreated to his Austrian estate, posting cryptic photos of him in a rustic workshop, hammering on metal, his arms dusted with soot. Fans speculated endlessly: is he forging a new movie franchise? Partnering with another streamer? Launching an independent production company? In late April, rumors swirled of secret talks in Prague with executives from European action powerhouse Red Bull Studios. Sources claimed they were drafting a 4-film deal promising no creative vetoes, no demographic tests, just pure, unfiltered action. The Buzz, a global covert ops saga spanning Berlin, Mumbai, Rio de Janeiro, and Cape Town, with Schwarzenegger leading a multinational strike team. Meanwhile, Netflix faced a dilemma. They could recast Max Walker, an expensive, risky proposition, or rewrite the script to eliminate the character entirely. Early drafts for a pivot reportedly involved shifting focus to secondary characters, elevating them into lead roles, while Walker became a legend remembered in passing. Industry insiders debated whether the show could survive without its marquee name. Could FUBAR's premise, an adrenaline-fueled series about elite agents thwarting global threats, stand on its own without its biggest selling point? In a surprising twist, several prominent critics accused Netflix of overplaying its hand. Rolling Stone's TV columnist wrote that the company had sacrificed authenticity at the altar of social justice, while Variety's editorial board questioned whether streaming platforms had lost sight of the audience's appetite for pure entertainment. At the same time, a series of opinion pieces applauded Netflix's refusal to bow to ego-driven nostalgia, arguing that the golden age of one-man army heroes needed to evolve into ensemble casts reflective of modern realities. Social media influencers weighed in too. A prominent martial arts YouTuber posted a scathing breakdown of FUBAR's action sequences, lamenting the lack of practical stunts. A top film critic on X accused Schwarzenegger of outdated machismo, while an up-and-coming actor released a video thanking Netflix for making room for fresh voices. The discourse spilled beyond entertainment circles, morphing into a broader debate about cultural legacy, creative control, and the clash between established icons and next-generation platforms. Amid this maelstrom, Arnold himself stayed mostly silent, until early May. In a surprise podcast interview with Joe Rogan, he elaborated on his grievances. He described showing up on set to find his trailer swapped for a communal lounge, his name removed from promotional posters, and his dialogue pages coated in red ink. He claimed Netflix execs had tested 6 alternative endings with focus groups in Brazil, Sweden, and South Korea, making him refilm scenes based on feedback such as, "Make him cry more," or "Add a scene about climate change." He chuckled ruefully, "I'm an action star, not a life coach." That candidness only fueled the fire. Shares of FUBAR merchandise plummeted on Amazon. Netflix's FUBAR social media channels went dark. The hashtag #BringBackWalker surged. Yet, at the same time, smaller streaming services reported spikes in subscriptions from fans eager for old-school action. News broke of a mid-budget studio greenlighting an Arnold-led spy thriller titled Code Red, with a script reportedly co-authored by him and several ex-Rambo writer veterans. By mid-May, the saga had stretched into weeks, and the question on everyone's lips was, who would blink first? Netflix's board reportedly convened emergency sessions to assess the fallout. Schwarzenegger's camp quietly lined up investment for his independent production ambitions. Agents and managers buzzed about reshuffling talent across the industry. And viewers? We sat back, remote in hand, popcorn at the ready, waiting for the next round in the streaming wars. Because this wasn't just about one actor walking away from one show. It was about the soul of entertainment in 2025, the tension between legacy and innovation, between creative freedom and corporate oversight, between the roar of a shotgun blast and the lecture on moral relativism. And whether you cheered for the Terminator or the streamer, one thing was clear: action had consequences, and in this high-stakes game, the biggest bang hadn't dropped yet. Weeks slipped by, and the embers of the Schwarzenegger-Netflix feud still glowed hot in headlines and water-cooler chatter. By late May, it was clear, neither side was in any hurry to back down. Inside Netflix's Los Gatos war room, executives paced beneath low-hung screens tracking every mention of #Team Schwarzenegger and #Team Netflix. Senior decision-makers floated 3 options: recast Max Walker, pivot FUBAR's narrative to focus on the ensemble, or scrap Season 2 entirely. Each choice carried risk. A recast would demand expensive reshoots, a pivot risked alienating fans who'd tuned in for Arnold, and cancellation would mean writing off millions of dollars already sunk into development and production. Meanwhile, Schwarzenegger moved swiftly to capitalize on his newfound narrative freedom. Rumors that a rival streamer, whispered to be Amazon Prime, had courted him for a multi-picture deal intensified when paparazzi spotted him at a clandestine meeting in London with top executives. Leaked photos showed Arnold in tailored suits, backlit by the Thames, animatedly sketching story beats on a notepad. Insiders speculated he was pitching a globe-trotting espionage saga, codenamed Project Iron Veil, in which he'd serve as both star and executive producer. The trade press devoured every crumb of information. Deadline published a piece suggesting Arnold had lined up a small army of veteran stunt coordinators, Michael "Boom" Russo, Jackie Chenworth, and Roddy Kingston, to ensure that Project Iron Veil delivered the most jaw-dropping, un-CGI'd action sequences of the year. Variety countered with a report that Netflix was quietly developing a spin-off starring Max's former protégé, Agent Casey Lee, played by rising star Daniela Park, positioning it as FUBAR, recalibrated. On social media, the debate went meta. Fans called on Netflix to host a live town hall, inviting Arnold and the showrunners to hash out their differences on camera. Petitions sprang up: "Bring back Max Walker, let Arnold finish his story," and the cheekier "Terminator for President 2028. A humorous viral TikTok trend asked viewers to audition as the next Agent Walker, complete with faux leather jackets and finger-gunned poses. Behind the curtain, the drama was no less frenetic. Production crews who'd been laid off from FUBAR's Vancouver shoot found themselves on LinkedIn, fielding calls from indie directors keen to hire seasoned hands for Arnold's side project. At the same time, Netflix's legal team began reviewing the original contract language, evaluating whether Schwarzenegger's exit constituted breach or if creative approval clauses empowered him to depart over unauthorized rewrites. Then came a dramatic twist. Netflix quietly announced that it had acquired an AI-driven post-production tool capable of synthesizing voice and likeness so convincingly that, in theory, they could finish the season without Arnold physically returning. The announcement came wrapped in techno-optimism, innovating storytelling through responsible AI, they claimed, but to many, it felt like an ominous line drawn in the sand. The idea of a digital Schwarzenegger rattled the industry. Could studios soon replace stars without their consent? Arnold's response was characteristically unambiguous. In a video posted to his official YouTube channel, he sat in his garage, surrounded by motorcycle parts and weight benches. He flexed one arm and said, "If you want me, you get me. You can't replace heart with code. You can't program soul." His words resonated far beyond entertainment circles, touching on broader debates about technology, authenticity, and human agency. That same week, Netflix's board greenlit Daniela Park's spin-off, confirming that Park would reprise Casey Lee in a 4-episode arc to close season 2. Promotional materials teased Casey as the new face of FUBAR, while behind the scenes, parkour trainers and tactical weapons experts were enlisted to give her character the kind of kinetic edge Arnold had championed. Yet, the industry buzz was that without Max Walker, FUBAR risked losing its core DNA. By early June, a tentative ceasefire hovered in the air. Netflix reached out through mutual contacts, proposing a mediated meeting in Toronto with Schwarzenegger's representatives, possibly to salvage a cameo or cameo-style digital appearance in exchange for a making-of documentary about the clash of old-school action and new media sensibilities. Arnold's camp reportedly listened politely before declining, insisting that any return had to guarantee script approval and final cut privileges. As summer loomed, the standoff settled into a grudging equilibrium. FUBAR, recalibrated, filmed its opening episodes without Max Walker, leaning heavily on ensemble banter and intricate heist-style set pieces. Critics' early responses were mixed. Some applauded the fresh focus, while others noted a palpable absence where Arnold's charisma once filled the frame. Meanwhile, Project Iron Veil moved forward in Europe. A teaser photo surfaced, Schwarzenegger perched atop a Berlin train car, trench coat billowing, silhouetted against stormy skies. More than anything, the saga underscored the shifting power dynamics of modern entertainment. Gone were the days when a single action star could unilaterally shape a project. Studios now juggled algorithmic audience data, social media sentiment, and legacy star power in equal measure. For fans, the spectacle of watching this collision unfold proved as riveting as any on-screen firefight. Whether Arnold ultimately redeems Max Walker's legacy or Netflix cements its vision without him remains uncertain. But one fact is undeniable: the Terminator vs. Netflix saga has redefined what it means to be a blockbuster in 2025, where guns and gadgets share equal billing with memes, and global subscriber metrics. And as viewers, we can only brace ourselves for the next explosive chapter in this real-world action epic.